Good evening. Sorry I'm a few minutes later than advertised, but it's a busy old day. So it's been a busy old week actually. So since last I was here on Monday, I have had 3 classes. I spent all day yesterday working at the polling station for the election. So that's a very long day. Left here at 6:10 yesterday morning, got back in at about 11 last night, which actually wasn't a bad turnaround, but still makes it a long day. I've been out this afternoon for a get together with some of the wider team, and I'll show you some of the bits that we've been playing with this afternoon in a minute. And then I'm out again this evening. Hi Amanda. I'm out again this evening for a meal with some friends, and we're not celebrating Christmas, we're celebrating birthdays. So 2 of the 4 friendship group have got birthdays, one last week and one next week, or one this week just gone and one next week. So we're busy celebrating birthdays. So busy time. So this might be a slightly truncated Facebook Live today, and I think it may well be a bit more of a let's play with these products rather than a let's make a finished project. But obviously once I've then created the finished projects, I will post those. We'll see how we go, how the evening takes us. But when I came in on Monday, we were talking about our project of the week being these rather lovely basic pattern decorative masks just here. And sort of away from tradition, we didn't actually create one of the projects that is in the catalogue. We didn't case the catalogue on this occasion because we felt that we didn't really want to go down the Christmassy route necessarily, although we may be touching on that tonight. And there were stamp sets and things that I hadn't got. So on Monday, we played with one of the masks. Oh, well done, Amanda. Poor old Amanda was due to be with us this afternoon, having a nice lunch and playing, and instead work got the better. So she's had to work instead, but hopefully I'll give you a bit of a taste in a minute, Amanda, of what we did this afternoon, and I know that some of those things are going to be winging their way to you to have a play with as well. So this was the card we did on Monday. We just used our sponges and 3 different coloured inks and sponged through the masks onto that background to get that tri-coloured background, and just added a nice die cut frame. We coloured our rhinestones with our stamping blends to match the yellow, and a piece of this tricolour purple ribbon sponged around the edge of our label, and voila, picked out the colours in our mats and our card base. So that was a nice easy card that we made on Monday using one of the mats, and I thought we'd have a little look at a couple of different things we can do with these masks this evening. So let's see if we can use each mask to do something a little bit different. So this one was sponging, so that was just purely sponging colour through the mask to create that background. And obviously you can do a whole background, you can do just little pieces of a background. Sponging, you can just use one colour, you can use multicolours like we did. So that's a really nice effect. So that's that one. Let's pop that one to one side. That's the one that we created on Monday. Let me put this to one side. Before we get playing, let me show you what we were doing this afternoon. We had our, for the last few years, we've got together at Christmas as a wider team. So not just myself and my team members that are a part of my little team, but also going up a step. So my team leader and some of the other people that are in her team. So we got together this afternoon at a coffee shop, and we had a nice lunch, and then we did a shoebox swap. Shoebox swaps are really lovely. So everybody created a project, and then I'm looking to see if I've got, I think I may have one of my packs. Yes, so one of my packs here is ready. that didn't get used this afternoon, obviously, but could get used. So I'd designed a card. I'd put all the bits that you needed to create that card in a little envelope like this, one for each person that was going to be there, and you put it into some sort of a box and container with any stamps and inks and things that you want, and literally that gets passed around the table. So we went clockwise. So you start off with your project in front of you, you pass it on to the person on your left, and you take the box that's of the person on your right, and you create that little project out of your little bits and pieces, and then you pass it on again, and so it goes on around the table. So that by the time I came away, I'd got not only the project that I made, but I'd also got 4 others, because there was 5 of us in the end that managed to make the tea, the lunch. So these are the projects I made. So the one I made is using, so these are all using things that are coming in the new catalogue. Not all of them actually, not strictly speaking true. Most of them either use new products from the catalogue or celebration items that are coming up in the new year, and I have got those catalogues in the house now, so I shall be starting to distribute those. And if you would like one and you don't think you will get one for any reason, then do message me. If you're here in the UK, I will be very happy to ensure that you get your hands on one of the catalogues. So either or, and the new handmade mini catalogue, the January to June mini catalogue, and there is also the celebration brochure, which off the top of my head I can't see at the moment. It may even be tucked in here. Yours will not come with post-it notes in it. That's my post-it notes for the things that I love, which, when you consider I've already got some things, is a lot. That tells you a lot about a catalogue. If it's got a lot of post-it notes in, it means it's got a lot of love. And this catalogue, there's lots to love about it. So, really exciting. So there is the new catalogue. If you would like to get your hands on that, you are able to just give me a message. So this was the card that I designed. It is using the Parisian Suite, this fabulous die, this Eiffel Tower die that I've cut from champagne foil. Beautiful embossing folder that I've used in the back there, and there's a little bit of stamping. You might just about be able to pick up the script on that piece of vellum just there. Life is a magnificent adventure. This beautiful champagne and petal pink ribbon, these fabulous champagne rhinestones, beautiful paper with champagne foiling on it. So lots to love about this suite. So that was my project that I made, so everybody has been able to make one of those. This beautiful cake here that we've stamped and watercoloured is a celebration item. So this is one of your money can't buy, you sort of get it for free when you put in a qualifying order type stamp set. So that is that one. Beautiful. There's going to be lots of good uses for that one. Both of these cards are stunning, and they both use the fabulous Poppy's paper. So the Poppy DSP is just beautiful, as you can see. There's another piece in the background there. Just absolutely gorgeous. This stamp set is celebration stamp set that these come from. So yeah, really lovely. And then this one is a die that comes from the annual catalogue. And what we have done is we've die cut this beautiful Springtime's Impression die here, and then we've laid it onto this piece of card here and used this as a stencil, sponged through it to get this effect. And then we've got another piece to bring home that we're going to be able to use to create a second card. So that's really lovely as well. So yeah, that's the Springtime's Impressions die set that is in the annual catalogue. So those were the projects that we made this afternoon. So there's just a bit of a taster of some beautiful things that you could be creating once you've got your hands on that new catalogue and you've ordered all the lovely things that you want to order from it. And that will be, you'll be able to order from it beginning of January, unless of course you get your starter kit, in which case you can order from it now. Right, so the first thing I did, and here's one I made earlier, but I will just show you what I did. The first thing I did was I took a piece of kitchen towel like this, and I took a piece of Whisper White card like this and laid it on the kitchen towel. And then I took that lovely swirly whirly sort of scrolls, beautiful sort of vintagey looking folder just there, and I laid it over my piece of Whisper White card like that. And then I took a spray bottle. This isn't actually a Stampin' Up spritz bottle, but it could well be. It just happens to be one that I've got lying around that I've already put blue ink in. I've got various ones. Some are Stampin' Up ones, some aren't. I've got a whole collection of spritz bottles that I've collected over the years. But this one is rubbing alcohol with some drops of blue in, and I think it looks as if it might be Night and Navy, maybe Pacific Point. It's been a little while since I made it up, but just add some re-inker, because obviously you could have whatever colour you like, so you just add some re-inker to some rubbing alcohol, and use rubbing alcohol because it dissolves quicker, it evaporates quicker, it doesn't warp the card quite so much because it dries that bit quicker. And all we are going to do is we're going to take this spritz bottle and we are going to spritz that stencil. Now what you can do is, if I just reach over to my kitchen towel, you can take a second piece of kitchen towel and just pick up the excess ink so it doesn't run underneath. And if we lift that up, it's rather pretty as well, isn't it? Rather nice kitchen towel. You get this beautiful scrolly pattern on there. Look at that. Obviously I will need to take this and give this a bit of a wash, but I will just wipe the worst of the ink off of it. The rubbing alcohol is smelly, not a nice smell particularly, not a horrible, it just smells very clean and antiseptic. But there we have a spritzed background using that scrolly stencil, a little bit damp still, so we'd leave that to dry before we stuck it on. Here's one I did a few minutes ago, and I've just picked out a piece of balmy blue card there because that really seems to match well with that colour that it's come out as. So I'd stick that on that card, and again you probably just want some simple greeting on there. It doesn't need a lot of anything really. That background does sort of speak for itself. So that is one thing you can do with these masks, is you can spritz through them. So we've got sponging through them, we've got spritzing through them. I'll do this one next I think, because I want to do that one last because I want to be able to get to the sink. Right, so what we're going to do with this one is, I've still got some of my low tack tape over here on the other day. Let's just anchor that down slightly. I've just literally caught the edge of that to hold it in place so that it's not interfering too much. And actually before I stick that down, I'm going to take my embossing buddy and just go over the top of there. And then let's stick down our stencil, and this one is the spotty stencil. And then I'm going to take my Versamark ink and I'm just going to go all over the top with my Versamark ink, pressing quite hard because I need it to squidge down a bit through those holes. Now it may not be completely covered and completely perfect, but actually it doesn't need to be. It can be a little bit grungy and haphazard. Let's take that off there, and here I've got some gold embossing powder. just sprinkle that on there. Let's turn it round. And it's always worth keeping these perhaps a bit bigger than you need them to be, so that you can trim off those edge pieces where you've had your tape in place. Or so obviously I've pressed down harder just here than I have just here, but that's okay. That all adds to its interest. Let's get our heat gun. I seem to have got a bit of excess powder just there. Right, let's try again. Let's get our heat gun. And let's heat up this gold embossing powder. Now this would be quite nice just to have pieces of it spotty rather than the whole thing. Sort of have some going across corners perhaps. A bit of a blobby bit just there. I suspect that's where the tape was stuck. It left a bit of adhesive, no doubt, behind. One of the nice things about this afternoon was Lorraine said she'd been inspired to create her card like this, watching me do this on Monday. So that's really nice. It's nice to know that we've inspired somebody's creativity. Just the idea of creating a stencil and using a stencil. So of course these stencils are fabulous, but don't forget that you can use dies as stencils as well. You can create your own. Right. So I think, just that dot just there, but the chances are that would get cut off anyway. So there we have gold embossed spotty background. It's rather fun. That would be quite nice on vellum, wouldn't it? To have a vellum gold embossed, or silver embossed, or even clear embossed. Beautiful. So that's Versamark through the stencils, and of course you could have done exactly the same thing with that. That's spritzing through the stencils. Now the last one we're going to do, I've left till last deliberately. I'm actually going to quickly, before we use our stencil, I'm going to die cut one of these lovely dashing deers from some champagne foil. Let's turn him round to make best use of our foil. Bring in the die cutting machine. I've got little bits of champagne foil left on there from where I was die cutting Eiffel Towers earlier. Just run him through a couple of times just because of those intricate ears, those intricate antlers. That's looking good. So let's twiddle with that and get those antlers out. And then there's just a couple of little pieces in there that need to come out. That one, that one. Ooh. I think my pokey tool, I've got an old pokey tool. My pickup tool is still sitting on the table where I was using the brush end actually earlier, to great effect, to get all the bits out of my Eiffel Towers. So there we have a champagne deer, and I've got here a piece of Night of Navy card. I'm just going to attach that top and bottom, I think. And I have this fabulous tree stencil just here. And we'll likewise attach that top and bottom. So for this one, I'm going to take some of the shimmery embossing paste. And let's gather some up. And let's spread it over our trees. Spread it on and then spread the excess off as if you were making a peanut butter sandwich or jam sandwich or whatever you fancy in your sandwich. Marmite, if you do like Marmite, or if you're a love it or hate it girl. I saw a post the other day about what's the best thing to eat with peanut butter, and somebody had put Marmite, so I've certainly never tried Marmite and peanut butter. Do let us know if that's a recommendation that you can give us. So we're going to take off the excess from there. Looks really lovely, doesn't it? The green, it looks almost green and glittery. It certainly does here. You might not be able to pick that up on the camera, but as the light is hitting it here, it does look green and glittery. And if we lift that up, now this is where this needs really just to be shoved straight into water. So what I am going to do is I'm going to just throw it into a bowl of water. So I will be back. I will leave you admiring that tree just for a minute while I go and put this in some water. Right, that's that done. There happens to be a bowl of water sitting in the kitchen, so I've just thrown it in there, because once it goes hard, it is really hard to get off of your stencils, and it dries quite quickly. So there we have our glimmery, shimmery embossing powder, embossing paste. It's gone over the edges a little bit in places, but that's okay. You get this idea of these shimmery, frosty trees in the background. Let's grab a piece of our kitchen paper that we used to mop up. I'll take the worst of it off of that spatula as well. This had already got some on. This are dried, so this looked like the silver. And with the spatulas, I could sit and pick all that off, and I perhaps will at some stage, but that's not quite so easy to do on your masks without tearing them, ripping them, damaging them. They're quite sturdy, but there is a limit. So there we have our glittery trees. Now that does dry relatively quickly, and you'd be able to have your foil deer. He'd be quite nice raised up on there, wouldn't he? Leaping through the frosty trees. So that could either make a nice sort of winter birthday card, or indeed you could make that into a Christmas card. Really beautiful. So that's using embossing paste. So of course you can use just the standard embossing paste as well. We could have used ordinary white embossing paste. We could have added a bit of colour to it, and we could make them authentically tree coloured. We could die cut leaves from one of the dies that has leaves in, and add some leaves to an embossed tree background. You could have them coming this way, perhaps just do a few of them, just use some of the stencil, because of course you don't have to cover the entire stencil, and have some birds sitting on some branches. Come the spring, you could do some like this and put some blossom on. You could have the blossom on the trees in the spring. So yeah, lots of things you can do, but that is just that shimmery embossing paste. So these masks, fabulous. Obviously the tree one is now in a bowl of water, but we've got the other three here. We have this scrolly one, we have this sort of geometric leafy one, we have the spotty one, and the trees. That's in this set of masks. In the other set of masks that are in the annual catalogue, there are clouds and a brick wall and a big sort of mandala type pattern, and I can't think what the other one is. I have one that's gone missing. It fell down the back of a unit, and I've yet to retrieve it. I think actually it would be such a job to retrieve it. It might be easier just to buy a new set of masks and then have a spare one when it does eventually reappear. But yeah, they're really, really useful. As I say, the one thing I haven't done is I haven't embossed with them. You can do that as well. So really worthwhile having, and you can just create some fabulous backgrounds. So whether you use embossing paste, whether you use Versamark and embossing powder, whether you use a spritz, whether you sponge through it. I've seen somebody else use the masks, and I've done this in the past actually. You can use the masks and you can draw through them with a fine black pen. So if you use something like your journaling pens, so use one of those sort of really fine pens. Have I got one to hand? Yes, there's a journaling pen. Let's see if I've got a little oddment. This is a strange sort of little oddment of white card, and it's a bit grubby, but it might give us the idea. You can use your fine liner and draw the pattern. And obviously you would take much more care than this. And then when you've done that all over, you can then go in with your stamping white markers or your stamping blends or your watercolours or whatever, watercolour pencils. You can go in and colour, and the nice thing about doing that is obviously you can alter up the pattern from where it is. You don't have to go with where it is on the mask. You could alter the pattern. That would be quite nice with those trees. If you just wanted one or two trees, you could just use the mask as a stencil, draw out your outline, colour in the trees that you want. So you can use a pen, your pigment inks, you could use that. There's various ways you could use that, whether you wanted to sort of make it damp through the gaps of the hole, sort of add some water and then sprinkle your powders on, and they'll obviously only activate where your water is. Lots of ways that you can use these stencils. So although I haven't created many finished projects, so I will, when I get the chance, go on to do that, but life is very busy at the moment. Hopefully it will be a bit calmer next week. I don't think that next week is quite so busy. Preparations will be well underway for Christmas by then, but I think I've only got one class that I'm running next week, and the rest of the time is concentrating on my own Christmas preparations, as well as looking forward to the new stamping, the new year, and the new mini catalogue and all that is going to bring. So thank you for joining me this afternoon. I hope that has given you a little bit of inspiration for things that you can do with these beautiful masks, and do come back and see me again on Monday.